this year we have four speakers. We have Tom, Michelle, Manpreet, and Scott. They'll be doing a few different sessions here around Copilot and Viva and security. So we'll just dive right in. And Michelle is the first to sign up. So Michelle is the first to go.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Let's get this. I'm not doing what Tony did the other day and try to um yeah, do this crazy sharing in
Elaborate demo.
Teams. So yeah, no, in Teams, in Teams.
All right.
So okay. All right. Can you see it? Can you see my slide?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. It's always good. All right. So let me just get my little cheat sheet here. Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. I know some people here, but to introduce myself, Michele Kraus. I obviously work with Jason at Cognizant and Manpreet, though we've never worked together. And so I've got about 15 years of SharePoint Power Platform experience, newbie to Copilot, obviously. And last year, this time, I was working on a Power Platform a client, but then I got involved with a SharePoint migration of legacy SharePoint to one domain to another. So nothing, I'm not building anything. I had to go back and try to figure out how to change domains. So I've been sort of out of it. I haven't been aware of what's been going on. So when the Ignite happened and I heard about Copilot agents, that sparked my interest. And so I said, I'll volunteer and do this lightning talk. So as my husband said, no, I'm not a subject matter expert. I'm just going out and looking for information, and I'm sharing it with everybody here. So that just setting the, the bar very, very low here. So share Copilot agents for Microsoft 365. That's a lot of words. I'm just going to stick with agents through the presentation, but they run through a spectrum. We have very simple ones that are more like basic chatbots, up to the more advanced ones that can be like your virtual assistant. And at the very end, I have a slide with a bunch of links to Ignite presentations, and then some announcements that have come through the last couple months. So that will be at the end. That hopefully, I don't know, are we sharing the slides now, Jason, or just because it'll be in the recording, it'll be out there, right? Maybe.
Yeah, just pretty much the recording.
Okay. So yeah, so just a wide variety of what are considered agents. And let's see. So in May, during build was when they first started talking about Copilot agents, and they said it's coming. And then in October there was a wave 2 release, and they released some of these simple agents. And I was able to actually in my Cognizant tenant go out and I definitely saw the visual creator agent, Copilot agent there. And so I'll show you what I was able to generate with that. But there are these other ones. So these are more like the chatbot prompts, the back and forth versus the more advanced ones. So that's what was released in October. So I initially tried to generate a Christmas tree that was Star Wars themed, but somewhere, I don't know why, it says it won't do it because it violates the designer code of conduct. Even if I take out the word Star Wars, thinking maybe it doesn't like wars, and use things like Darth Vader, Yoda, and stormtroopers, it still wouldn't generate anything. So I fell back on a Christmas tree, adorned with Penn State logos, so Penn State themed. And so it did do that. I was shocked, and so I may use one of these on my Christmas card. I don't know. We'll see. So, but it works. But it certainly didn't like that. So that's one of the simple ones. So the other thing that they announced in October was this ability to create these autonomous agents with Copilot Studio. And so that's sort of what's leading up to what was announced at Ignite, is this thought of what's an autonomous agent, is that they can do things, I'm doing air quotes, on their own. And then they also introduced 10 autonomous agents for Dynamic 365 for sales, service, finance, and supply chain. And okay, so Copilot Studio. I'm thinking that I took this and tweaked this a little bit. They're saying think of them as agents as the new applets of the AI powered world. There's a statement out there. They're not standalone applications. So I sort of tweaked that and said they're like little applets. You sort of push those into other places. And I'm sort of pulling out some buzz sentences here. It's the new user experience. And to build out these agents, what they've done is they've taken the Copilot Studio. So think of that as Copilot Studio is Visual Studio. You can build things with it, but they've created a simpler, lightweight version that, in my comfort zone, these citizen developers, I'm not a developer. I came up from the SharePoint admin side. And so I'm just a notch above a citizen developer. All right, maybe a little bit more now that with my Power Platform experience, but anybody with any skill level is supposed to be able to build or extend these agents, and especially when we're talking about SharePoint. And then the autonomous agents are supposed to respond to signals, inputs from across your business, and even initiate tasks. So this thought of initiating tasks and triggers and these schedules, they're all, you can connect to Power Automate. That's what that we're being able to do now, is connect this AI stuff with some Power Automate here. Okay, and just some examples of these autonomous agents that were released for Dynamics 365. I don't want to read these, but I'll read a little bit. So sales qualification agent, frees up the agents, the people, to focus their time on higher priority opportunities, while the agents do some background stuff like researches leads, prioritize opportunities, and then helps create some of these personalized emails and responses. Supply communication agents. This is, geared towards supply chain and automating, tracking supplier performance, detecting delays, responding accordingly. Again, creating these personalized responses to free the procurement teams to do the more time-consuming, manual monitoring, freeing them from doing the manual monitoring and firefighting. And then the customer intent and customer knowledge management agents. So this is supposed to be game changers for customer care teams facing high call volumes, talent shortages, and heightened customer experiences. They'll work hand in hand with the customer service representative to help resolve customer issues and add knowledge-based articles to scale best practices. So helping you find articles and maybe push out some of those knowledge-based articles if you only have a certain number of live people for chat and to interact with customers to help try to resolve issues. So that was just a couple of the examples out there. So this is why I really wanted to do this. So during Ignite, they introduced these new agents with my SharePoint background. It piqued my interest. There's agents in SharePoint. And I'll just show a little video that maybe, I don't know, some of you may have already seen. I think it was shown at Ignite, but it's out there. That was the one. Some interesting ones coming, interpreter. So I personally am on calls where we are all speaking English, but for a lot of people, English is their second language. So that might help with some of the meetings for them that you just turn it on supposedly and it will start talking in a different language for you. And it says you have I'm trying to look at the verbiage. You can opt to have it simulate your speaking voice for a more personal and engaging experience. So that's a little interesting. I found that interesting. Then the employee self-service agent. So this is geared towards HR and IT. That's taking that chatbot that I think we've all seen in examples and just taking it up the next level, make that more engaging, not just engaging, but provide additional tasks that the chatbots weren't able to do. The facilitator, I like this one, is the note-taking in Teams meetings. I think that's out there. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason. We can't do that, or we have the transcription right below it that's not working because it's being reviewed by legal. I think that's why it's not turned on for our tenant. And then the project manager, which will take from these Teams meetings, will create a planner and create tasks in your planner and complete these tasks just based on what's being said within and shared within these Teams meetings. So that's these are all coming. And then in the future, they're going to work with partners like ServiceNow and Workday for them to create their own agents to expand on the capability and with their unique mission critical knowledge in those areas of things like service, troubleshooting and HR. So that's what that is. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to give this a try. I may have to move some screens, but this is, and again, I don't know if the audio is going to play, but there are some subtitles. So let's see if this works. Yeah, okay. Oh, it did pop up. Okay.
No audio, but we can read it.
Okay, so that did work. All right. So this one is just reiterating what it said, that it's going to follow for that SharePoint agent, the SharePoint permissions, your enterprise data protection, and there are those guardrails and controls around using this, like encryption and data loss prevention. I'm speeding up because I realize I'm running out of time. Okay, so that was my presentation. And I have a whole slew of references that I was able to pull this information from. And I hope it at least sparked your interest in Copilot agents for Microsoft 365. Thank you. And now Manpreet is going to show us how to use these.
Hey, I'm hosting this event. I'm hosting this. Cool. Thank you. So I'm going to have to remember to play some like elevator music at the part where your video's playing. So it's not silent.
Oh, really?
But cool. Thanks a lot. And yes, next up we have Manpreet, who's going to also be talking about Copilot agents, but within Teams, correct?
Yeah, same thing. So thank you, Michelle, for at least setting up the whole overview. As I said, you're gonna do my 85% of the job. I'm just doing next 15%, so I'll be very quick. So now when Microsoft Ignite happened, it was all about agents because initially what happened was Microsoft thought, and that's my own story, that everybody will be building agents on Copilot Studio, they'll be deploying agents, they'll be deploying plugins, but it did not happen that way. Even for us, we all work for Cognizant. We have no capacity or capability to build bots or agent on Copilot Studio. Like we can build something, but we cannot publish because just imagine we are a 300K people company. If everybody starts publishing agents, it's gonna be the world of agents in every network. And even to just play around, it's a lot of agents, right? And there's a lot of issue on the governance side, taking care of these huge bodies. So what organizations started doing was they started building these agents for the HR, for the sales, for the marketing department, so that they have niche control over the data flow and AI over it, right? That's how the build was formed. But again, Microsoft is Microsoft. It's like, no, I want to give the power to the people. And so they brought in agents. Now, agents somewhat do the similar, I would say, the Copilot Studio child behavior activities or functionalities, but it gives more care to the end user. So just for a second, I think most of you are all developers, architects here, right? Just imagine that the people here okay, sorry, I was reading the chat. No, not for me. So just imagine the whole platform where you, as an end user, I'm a data entry operator, or I work at a manufacturing plant, and I want to build something on an AI level, right? Now we cannot ask them to go and buy a expensive Copilot Studio license or an OpenAI license or build something on the scratch. That's where the born of Copilot Studio Agent Builder come in. Now, of course, the name is going to change probably in the next build or ignite event because there's so much of Copilot Studio. But this is the learn challenge here. I'll put the link also where you can also play around with it after the call. And it's step by step. So they announced Copilot Studio Agent Builder where you can build agents on M365 without any knowledge on how AI, how bot, how agent works. So this is for something who have zero experience on IT, but they use Teams on a daily basis, and they have Copilot license. So this is an add-on feature which Microsoft actually added this to build agents capability so that more and more people start buying that $30 license. I know it's expensive, but again, the cost is too high and it is overwhelming amazing. It's just the habit or the adoption, what I normally say is like you need to get that. Now, everything, every day, my morning into evening is with Copilot. I use it that crazily. So that's where the Copilot Studio Agent Builder came in the picture, where you will be able to build a small mini agent, but not much of outside data, no API calls, nothing crazy where you're gonna be disturbing the tenant experience or the tenant infrastructure on the security part. So it's more grounded data, your own SharePoint, OneDrive data, which you can build an agent on, and it works really, really nice. So I think Michelle showed some examples of employee. I think onboarding was one, and the other. I was at the Copilot booth, so it was my way of telling people. So those are in preview. They should come by March, mostly by build. I feel that, and so they're already inbuilt. But if you go to Copilot, let me quickly show you. So this is how a generic Copilot is right now, right? And we have been all chatting, playing around, getting information. And earlier we had an option to build plugins over it. You can still build it, but it's gonna go away. So you can build plugins over it and connect data sources over using Visual Studio Code and stuff. And also extend your bot by using Copilot Studio. You can bring in the agent right from here. Which agent am I gonna use it? And you'll be building it. Now, covering the Copilot Studio Agent, that's another topic. Probably, I think we have done it like Jason a couple of months back. But if there's something new, we'll try to do it next year with Jason. I also have a recording video with Bill. I can send you that on the chat here. So it's a complete layer. So this is a parent studio where you'll be developing agents, right? Now, coming back to the Copilot right now. So the design here is implicated inside and built inside the agent structure here. So where you can build any agent anywhere, anyone, and you don't need a governance, you don't need a publishing way. The team's administrator did not go and start approving or all your published agent. It stays inside. You can build it between me and you, me, Jason and Tom, me, Jason, Tom, and Michelle. Only 3 people can use it, 4 people can use it, or 1,000 people can use it. These agents have become the talk of day and night today. And everybody's using it. Very, very nice. Like I have built this is my dev environment, but if you see my cognizant or production environment, and Jason and Michelle, you can build these in cognizant environment. You can publish this as well. So they have allowed because it's very locked down. The APIs are controlled, so now they don't have any issues. And as far I talked to the product team, they told me you can create 1 million plus agents on the subscription. So there's no limit. So you can imagine 1 million agent is a lot for a company. Of course, Cognizant, everybody starts building it, still less for them, but still a huge amount for company. So it's very easy. You click on an agent, create an agent right on this right side here. And I'm just being careful on the time because I can speak a lot. And then you can describe, right? So I was planning to build an onboarding agent. So hey, builder. Soon you'll be able to speak and say the same thing and it will go and create. So I'm waiting for that capability soon. Can you build me an agent which can handle employee onboarding process, right? Simple. And just imagine this as a use case. A use case like I'm a PM and I'm an HR PM. I need to take care of this, and I don't want to go to reach out to IT. Now, this was a big thing. I'm working with a bank, and the bank person is like, I don't want to reach out to IT. Can you just do this thing for me? I'm like, why not just reach out to your IT? They have all the infrastructure. They're like, no, it's a big firm. I have to submit an RFE, this and that, get money, proposal, all the stuff, and it's going to take 3 months to get built. Right. So now when such kind of people who like to use technology, they can come, they can write the normal natural language, which is English here for us out. You put it something and I am putting a spelling wrong, but again, Copilot understands I'm not spelling it check. So I'll just click on OK. It will understand, okay, I want an agent to build something on onboarding process. It will provide me all the prompts, all the data connectivity of all I can do. Is a name good? Yeah. Yes, that's good. Um, so on the right side, you see it started building up. It's showing me what will happen. There'll be a welcome message. There'll be a policy information, scheduling the training, documented, and I can change that. I can change it based on the company, based on how I'm working. And what should avoid an agent? Do you want to avoid something? No, I'm good for now, right? I'm good. Uh, so this is good. I'll just click on create. That's a faster way to feel free to let me know. All right, I will. So if I click on create, uh, one second, what happened? Oh, for updating, oh, probably the namesake. One sec. So they have been locked to the tenant. So whenever I use some very catchy name or something, it gives me this REI issue. But I'll skip that. Like, let me go back and create again. I don't think it will allow me. So let me click this and go back again. Yeah, this has been a catch we have been already raising. Whenever somebody uses something like necessary information, it gives you that option, but that's fine. We can still play with it. Now, what happened here is in the back end, which is a minimal version of the Copilot Studio, you get the onboarding assistant, you get the description. These are the instructions, welcome message, and you can make the tone as professional, how to make it think, make it discursive, and stuff like that. And you can add knowledge sources, right? So let me go back and I want to show you how it works. So let's go back again. Sometimes it creates and it goes, but it's aging. So they are making very sure that none of the keywords, none of the words or the connecting with the agent gets connected with I just click on configure. Onboarding Sorry, I was doing this. Yeah. Create employee. All right, second time is a charm. So let's see if it allows me. So it's on the API call, but if I go with a generic one, I'll be able to do it. If it doesn't allow, I'll show you already built in solution. I think it did. Congratulations to us. All right, yeah, it did. So we got the agent, but I'm not going to show that. Now, what happened here in the data? I'll be able, as a non-data entry operator, I can improve the instructions. So me, Jason, and Michelle, like for example, we are in Cognizant, we want to onboard a person, right? We'll provide a SharePoint site. So as a knowledge source, all our HR policy, vacation policy, expense policies, they're all in one place. So I did one thing. I just loaded and I created an employee onboarding website. And I took a website, a Flare HR document, which states a guide to modern employee onboarding. It has all the vacation, what to do in 30 days. I'll just link that site. Just imagine that is your HR site, which is open to everyone. And you can just build an agent over it. That's it. As simple as that. And I can even upload a direct file, direct policies, direct PDFs, and stuff. It will also give me an image generator, which was not there yet. So you can even create images for fun. And Michelle was showing a Christmas tree and all the stuff. Those will be also part of the agent capacity. And now the most easiest part is the startup prompt. So many of our organization, we deployed at insurance, healthcare, these agents, these AI agents. But when you're a new user and you don't understand technology, you're like, what should I write? Like, should I tell them, what do you do for me? Or what are the services you do for me? Or, hey, hi, what can I help you with? Like that. So you have the starter prompts readily available for end users to just go and start up with it. And you can change it, you can delete it, and all the stuff. So that's the best part of it. Right? So I'll click on update, and it's in real time. It's in sync as many documents you keep changing on the SharePoint side. I have seen it's very, very fast. It's like in seconds. So you don't have to wait for a day for it to about. And but for Copilot Studio, when you are deploying an agent on a Teams, you have to wait for a day for it to be reflecting on the Teams marketplace, and then you need to enable. So, but for this, it's super, super fast. So now what happened here is, generally you have been using Copilot every day, every now, right? On the right side, you'll be able to see your agent. And this agent can be deployed to a small team, shared between me and you, two people, or for me personally. Like I built something for me personally. I'm on a pre-sales side. I do a lot of proposals. I just loaded all the proposals I have worked in the last 5 years in one folder, and that's my personal agent. So now if I have to do something, I'm just going to that agent and playing with it. So that makes my work much more faster as an end user, right? A developer can do much more steps, create extensive need, but I don't need it, right? So now when I come here, how long will it take for an employee on boarding process? Okay, this is the agent pre-built on Teams by an end user whose documents I have shared here. It's coming from the web. So you can enable web data or you can just enable your SharePoint data. I can change both. And I get the different level, different steps out of it. That's the power of agent. And this thing, we did it on the Teams very easily without any issue. The backend is again Copilot Studio. So it takes 4 to 6 hours. Once I publish, it will come here on the Copilot Studio on the library. So all the agents come there in the backend, and you can always change or add SharePoint site. There's no capability or editing on the Teams yet, maybe soon, but this gets added to the Teams very easily. Now, another favorite part of mine is if I want a Copilot, I don't have to always click on the agents to talk to. So I can just call my agent, onboarding agent. Can you tell me what is the process to hire, onboard someone? Sorry, onboard someone. What's happening to my spell check today? All right. All right. There you go. You get all the information right there. I don't have to go and start like on a Copilot. I or have to go and choose that particular plugin or the agent. I can just call my agent at the rate like we call on Twitter or Instagram, and I can chat with the agent on the document which I have provided for us, which was SharePoint. Now, Michelle showed the second agent capability, which is again famous. So these are the two famous things we are talking about. You can create an agent on SharePoint. Now, again, simple thing. On the Teams, you were able to create very quickly, add a SharePoint site, done. You have a AI bot. Like just imagine a person, and this is from my own personal work. I work with an insurance company. There's a senior person there, and who she was very easily able to create an agent, and she has been boasting around that she has built an AI bot, and she named it as an AI bot, right? So, and she's happy, and she all people in an organization is happy. That's how they're training. And recently I showed her you can do that on her SharePoint. She has gone crazy. Every single library she owns, she has an agent for that. So I just uploaded this HR guide, right, on the document. You click on this button, create an agent. It's only available on document library for now. Probably in the list it should come. I don't know when, but it's not there for me as well. So I click on the agent. That's it. I have a powerful agent ready to work on. So if there are ten thousands of document library files and PDFs and Word files and images, I can just extract information. What is the onboarding process? And it will read the content information from the library where I am building it from and get me that information. There you go. See what you have to do, etc., and stuff like that. I can copy it, paste it, and it gives me a reference. I just have one file here, so it gives me that one file reference. That's the power of agents, which is coming, and this has already GA, so it should be available if you have a Copilot M365 license, $30 one. If not, then the same static way of building through Copilot Studio still prevails. But if you have this and you want to build something over it, proposal agents, onboarding, in time sheet management, expense report management system, all inside Copilot, you don't want them to have another bot. Like this is making people stop building something crazy around Copilot Studio or AI Studio. You can build something very small, clean, for your department, for your company, and manage it end to end right there in the system. So whether you have a document library, you can talk about documents, policies, like we have content policies for insurances, right? There's so many insurances, invoices. Like I could, if I had an invoice, I could have asked like, what's the invoice amount for this and this healthcare limited? It will provide me that exact number, exact amount. That's the way of making agents for UI, for end users UI. So this is not for developers. This is for every person on Earth. I think that's what the mission of Microsoft is, to empowering everyone and using AI. And I think they're doing a great job. The AI world is not just for developers anymore now. An end user, anybody who has zero knowledge on IT but can build successful, amazing events right here. That's it from me. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. You have a couple of questions in the chat. I don't know if you
All right. Yeah.
saw.
Yes, only M365 Copilot users can publish or use it. Exactly. Yes. So you need to have that expensive license.
And then Charles asked a question about environments.
Are agents created for specific environments to center specific audience? No, the agents are built on the current user's environment wherever they are. So it's almost published. There is nothing called like a UAT dev platform. So any end user can build a number of platforms. The backend is it's all the agent and the information are stored on a Cosmos DB on an Azure. So you can see all the agents deployed in an organization. They're also building a new infrastructure where you can see how much people are using, what they're using, and all the stuff as an integration part of it. But for now, the agent has its own control. So they not need to be published in the Teams. Of course, you can turn it off. Okay, there's a button actually on the Teams Admin Center to even turn this off. But for us, even Cognizant, which normally turns it off, they have not turned it off because the capability, let me go back and show you for a minute, second, if I can show you on the studio. So this is one of the, let's see. So it takes 4 to 6 hours for it to come up on the studio site for the whole publishing thing to happen. But when I talk about the capability, you can just enable SharePoint. So if you have also like this is our enterprise one, but if you have access to certain library, certain list, certain documentary, it takes care and accepts all the ACL. So you won't be able to accept add any other data sources. And even on the action side, it has a limited capability, Excel files, ServiceNow, SharePoint. You cannot bring in custom APIs and also there's no environment. This is all on your current environment deployed.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Cool.
It's a big topic. We'll probably cover it one day with step by step how to do it, where to do it. But the good for I wanted to show this in the 15 minutes. And thank you, Michelle, for running the first overview part and then covering the next one.
Cool. All right, cool. Now, I guess we'll jump right over to the next speaker. We have Scott, and fun fact, Scott, when you joined the user group, you became the 800th member.
Yeah.
Mark was
Cool.
close. Mark Ron was $7.99. No prize for you, Mark. All right, so Scott, you're going to be talking about various security in
Yeah.
M365.
Yeah, and I'm going to have a much bigger session for the Baltimore user group in
Okay.
January. But there are so as an MSP, 3 of my clients that I've gotten in the last year came because they just had a breach, and the previous MSP had no idea how to do security at all. I am a little bit more paranoid than most, but I tend to lock things down and things still work. Without a lot of pain other than people complaining that they have to use their phone to get a code every once in a while. But what I'm showing you here is, right, this is my UPN, and it probably will change after this since it's being recorded. So this is the account that I log in with. That's never the account that I email from. And what I mean by that is, if I can get this thing out of my way. There we go. So if I go to my Outlook and I start a new message, it automatically, oh, come on, show from. It says it's from here. I don't even have the option to select DNA admin. So all you do is you change it inside of here. You go edit your properties on a user, and that's my user principal name. And if I go all, I can see that's my email address, and I can add other email addresses, but I tend to change it so that if I have an account somewhere else that they make me use an email address as my username, I'm using an email address that's not tied to my 365 account directly. So when there are breaches, they don't get hit up a lot. And I will show you an example of why. Where'd it go? So I locked down this account the other day because they had a breach more than a year ago. And because those credentials are out there, everyone from around the world is still trying to access this damned account. If you don't give them an account that they can try against, you don't get this. So it helps weed out a lot of that noise, and you don't run the risk of a brute force or anything else like that. So that's number one. I think that everybody really should be doing that. Obviously, the larger your organization, the more painful that's going to be. But on my personal tenant, when I email from Scott at m365dc.com, my username is a very long, strange digit string that I use. It's not, a word that you would ever guess. Next, we have here in my office, we use a Citricom Secure Cloud Gateway. So rather than having a firewall here in the office, everyone goes through a cloud firewall and then they get out. So everything's going through there. So whether I'm working from here, if I'm working from home, if I'm at a client site, I'm still using the same IP address I always use. So with some of my other SaaS applications and with 365, I have it configured so that you must be coming from this IP address in order to get access. That includes my phone. So you can lock it down such that we can say, this address space is where your address must come from in order to log into 365. You can lock it down if you have a firewall and you have business, static IP address. You can do that, and you can add a couple different addresses if you have multiple locations. But if you're working from home and you have this, that's a problem. You can use the global secure access, and everyone can get their little VPN thingy up to 365. But who experienced the Outlook outage this morning? Anybody? Yeah, it was down for like 2 hours this morning. Microsoft reported it around 7:30, had it fixed by like 8:30, but the outage had happened for a couple hours prior to Microsoft acknowledging it. I love Microsoft a lot. I would never put all my eggs in one basket, so I don't do that. So I have this cloud gateway, and I use it for all kinds of things. The web content filtering, no gambling sites, no porn, no nothing like that. But that's why we have it here. So we can only log in because we have conditional access policies. A lot of you probably went through whenever Microsoft was saying, hey, you need to do this, and you probably went from the template or whatever. I don't like that. I like to know that I actually configured it myself. So you're going to want your MFA for everybody. Okay. And so that's all users, but you exclude your global admins and the MFA exempt people. I'll get into that in a minute. You can configure the network. This is my training tenant. This is DNA educational. So I bring in people from other companies and stuff to get access into here so they can learn SharePoint and everything. Conditions, you can select, they've bumped this up here recently. So you could require that they are, Azure 80 joined machines and Windows 11 and all that kind of stuff. Same way you would kind of do with Intune. Part of the reason you see all this is because I have a P2 license, Azure AD P2. If you have a business premium, you're going to have an Azure A1 P1 license automatically. If you're using an E3 license, you don't get any of the darn good security stuff. So I highly recommend that if everyone's using E3 licenses, that you go ahead and get an EMS3, the Enterprise Mobility and Security Level 3 license, because that takes care of all the extra goodness, the Intune and all the security stuff. But we go down here and we say, okay, yes, this one requires, MFA. But we have other ones, right? So I have a separate one for the admins, and this is really because of I don't want to screw myself if I add something to the regular users and it blocks them. I want to have a separate one for me, and then we test with them, and then I apply it to myself. But this one here, I have a bypass for printer, and this happens a lot of places. You're going to have a scanner printer device inside of your network, and it wants to email different users because they scan in it, sends it to their email. If you're going to do that, they can't do MFA, so you create a condition in here so that they are exempt of MFA requirements on that emailed account that's going to send to those scan jobs. And one of the things that I say here is it can only come from one of my trusted locations, which is the office. So not that. Where'd it go? So I say here, what we're doing is we're blocking access to anyone attempting to use that MFA exempt account unless they come from the Citricom Secure Cloud Gateway. So you're going to need a combination of conditional access policies based on different groups. The way that you create those different groups inside of your tenant, I would highly recommend that you use these security groups, not an email enabled one, because I don't want people to email it. I wouldn't use the Teams and 365 groups. You can, but I wouldn't. I'd use these security groups so that they don't clog up some of the other mess so much. Tom, you got your hand raised.
Yeah, I'm trying to ask a question. So what are you, if like, for example, we have some Power Automate accounts that need to run in the background as timer jobs. Like, is there
It
a
needs to be in a
recommendation?
separate, it needs to have a separate conditional access policy for it to run.
Okay, so they obviously need MFA disabled, and
Yep.
then but they would run in the background, I guess,
Yeah.
internally inside Microsoft in their Microsoft Cloud, because they're running in the Microsoft environment. Okay.
Yep. Definitely need to. Now, theoretically, you could always go, let me go back here, all users. If I go all users per user MFA, I have it all disabled in here for all these different accounts, but I can go in here and I could enable MFA. And this is all because they're all like the fake accounts that I created for demo purposes and stuff in here. But if you can disable some of that MFA here, but it's still going to request it the first time when you create one of these accounts that, hey, you need to get MFA set up and all that stuff. Then you have to exclude it. So I have a password vault where I can keep all those things, because if I already have 18 pages worth of codes and stuff inside of my Microsoft app, but if I definitely get a password vault that can store MFA tokens if you need to, because you're going to create it for this printer account or the service account for Power Automate. You're going to want it to run, and so someone has to have that token somewhere, and you're probably just going to want to stick that into a vault. I use Passportal if anyone's curious. Let's see here. So you want to have some named locations. So I automatically block anyone who's not coming from CONUS, no matter where we're talking. I do that a lot with my email too. No offense to anybody, but it's just like in my work email here. I have a rule that says if it's coming from Outlook.com, Hotmail.com, or Gmail.com, it goes straight to junk. Because I might get one of those every week that's valid. I'll read my junk, but I don't want to clog up my inbox with all the other garbage. So that was the main one, this one. Oh, and lastly, the other reason why you wanted to have this, I have a group makers group, and these are people who can create that. So if you have not done this to your own tenant yet, for God's sakes, copy, paste, run that, because there is nothing worse than trying to clean up the sprawl that gets created from test, test two, and everything, because people don't know what groups is inside of Outlook, and so they start creating crap, or they create new plans all for themselves, and they don't know how to get rid of them because they can't, and it gets really hard to clean up. So I like to block the ability for other people to create groups and teams. One, because it gives them elevated access. So if they create a team themselves, they're an owner. Now they're creating sites, and they're creating channel sites, and they're creating all kinds of other garbage. Lock it down from the beginning, folks. Lock it down. So you're going to want to run the PowerShell, but you're going to need to create that Azure AD security group first, and then plop, 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 it's relatively fast and easy. But it would make no sense for me to run it again, so I don't want to. That's kind of really all I had planned for this because it was like a 15-minute kind of hot thingy, but I can answer other questions. It is going to be a much longer session for the user group, Baltimore user group in January. Anybody?
Any
Who isn't
questions?
using conditional access yet?
I've come across it. I don't tend to have to set it up on my end, though. I'm usually on the dev side.
Well, I mean, it's good to know even if you're a dev because
Mhm.
you're going to run into problems like Tom's facing where
Mhm.
you're going to be like, my account's not working. And sometimes I have this happen all the time with, for whatever reason, one of my flows, every 2-3 months, sometimes it'll last longer, sometimes not. It'll just break and I have to go in there and re-authenticate and then it'll go. But for me to authenticate under that account, I have to use that MFA token. Charles.
Yes. I guess just backtracking, when you were recommending running the commandlet to stop group creation, I guess wouldn't that impact people who are trying to create the plans, the teams?
Oh yeah.
And
If you're not a member of that group that is allowed to make groups and teams, you won't be able to make a new plan unless it goes to an existing group or team. You won't be able to make a new group. Yeah, it'll stop you from doing a couple things. So you won't be able to create like your own team because in order to create a team, it actually creates the group first.
right.
So
Then it creates the assets.
yeah,
So,
so you have to lock it down because otherwise people just start creating things willy-nilly. I have walked into environments. There's a tenant that I got the other day, more than 200 teams and groups, 17 employees. I'm like,
well,
that's
in that case, I guess it becomes more controlled. But I guess for a larger organization, wouldn't that be more of a headache? Because if you're having everyone submit for every single plan, every single team, every single form.
you can create like so. Okay, so say you're like in one of the intel agencies I supported, right? You're going to have a different group for, the CFO's office who can create groups, and another one for the CIO's office who can create groups, and one for DO's office that can create groups, one for DDS office that can create groups. And then you can set that up differently. So in the PowerShell, it will give you.
Okay, but that makes it so
you can add different groups.
Different groups. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah. So you can do that, and then you make owners of those groups so that they can then add and remove people as necessary. So you don't necessarily need to get IT involved, but you definitely don't want them adding 500 people in their directorate because that gets bad.
Very bad.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Problem. Luckily, all my clients now are like 100 people or less. So pros and cons with that.
When's the Baltimore event?
I knew someone would ask me that.
You knew it.
It is the third Thursday of the month. I know that.
Third Thursday of the month.
Day of the week that is, or what? I guess that would be the 16th.
Is anybody interested in catching that full session? Is that going to be virtual?
Yeah. They've been virtual since COVID, just like most every other group.
Yeah, I've been toying with the idea of going back. We might do maybe some like quarterly networking.
Yeah. It'd be kind of hard to commit to a monthly thing now, especially since I work north of Baltimore and this is the DC group.
Yeah, I used to work in the area of where we would normally have this, but now that I work from home, it would be 45 minutes to an hour commute just to get there. To hang out for like an hour and a half to 2 hours and come back. So
it's an excuse to get out of the house.
yeah, I would like to get out of the house.
Yeah. But no, these are just things I would suggest, especially if you're using like a tenant for your own personal use, personal email and things like that, like I've always had. You definitely want to set up like the alternate UPN login and stuff like that so that people aren't trying to constantly break into your account.
Yeah. Cool.
I don't know if you've ever gone, have I been pwned and put in your email address?
Yeah.
You have been. I mean,
Oh yeah.
there are always have I been pwned. I don't know if this work account has. Nope, I'm good. But because the number of times that you're subscribing to different services with all these other companies, all of your own vendors, they have breaches all the time.
Yeah.
And then they get your password, and a lot of people are still reusing the same damn password that they use for everything else, and they just try, and ta-da, they get in. Even with the MFA things, there are phishing links that people get all the time in their email, and if you have decent security, not Microsoft, it'll get caught. But that helps with your email, and so you can get browser security that I would highly recommend if you are using personal email or Teams and Zoom and Google Meet and all those other things where you can get links sent to you. I had a friend who got a business email compromised because she thought she got a PDF over LinkedIn. So she clicked on it and it took her session token that she had for Microsoft 365. Even though she's got MFA and everything else turned on, they took her token and then they went after her. So I have Conceal. It's relatively cheap if you go buy it yourself. It's like $1.10, $1.50 a month, and it provides all kinds of browser security. I could go to most any um, you know bad website right now, and it would automatically stop me. So,
Cool.
I definitely if conceal.io. That's one of the browser security things that I have. Obviously, I have it through my secure cloud gateway as well, but you can never have enough because just like antiviruses, you'll find that one might catch something that another one doesn't. It goes for every spam protection thing out there and everything else. So I always configure my mail settings, security settings to be pretty tight, and then I have additional stuff on top of it. So I absolutely love my mail protection stuff. So
Cool. Well, that's a very appropriate title to your session, Lock It Down. I hope when you do the full presentation, you find a way to weave that in there a bunch of times.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll try.
If you want to put a link to the Baltimore user group, go ahead and put it in the chat in case anybody wants to catch the whole thing. All right. And we have one last speaker today. We have Tom Daly, who's going to be covering Microsoft Viva Connections. So, Tom, you can feel free to jump right in and take it away.
Sure. Thanks, Jason. I will prepare my screen here. Let's see. So I have a bunch of slides which we can, simply just gloss over, and then I'll go into Microsoft Viva Connections. So let me pop this bad boy open. All right, so I guess quick intro, Tom Daly from New Jersey. I work with Jason Manpreet, organize events in New York and New Jersey. So you've probably seen me. I know a couple of you on the call. And that's the 5 seconds about me. So why can't I skip? Okay. So what is Viva Connection? So it's, again, if you've probably already heard of it, you probably have seen it if it might be inside your teams already. So Viva Connection is the employee engagement hub in Microsoft Teams. So it's got a couple things like personalized dashboard, links, SharePoint integration, a news feed, right? And it's also mobile friendly. So what does that mean? We'll take a look at that. So if right now what you're seeing here is their Microsoft slide of Teams, but if you notice on the top left, it's pointing, it's got a special icon there at the top for the intranet. So it's Microsoft SharePoint intranet inside of Teams. And one of the components that they want you to build out when you're using Microsoft Viva Connections is the dashboard. So there's this concept of the Viva Connections dashboard, which I've highlighted on the bottom right in yellow. So, this is it's all good with putting in Viva Connections. It allows your users to just use Teams and also get to SharePoint from Teams. The thing that I don't like about it, which I'll point out right now, it is the different experience between the mobile and the desktop. So what you're seeing here is the desktop version, and on the right, that's what you're seeing on the phone. So the phone goes straight to the dashboard. And this is one of those things that people don't necessarily like about it because it's two different experiences, and they have to explain that to the users. Also, with the dashboard, since we're on the dashboard, we'll talk about it, these cards. So there's only a few cards built in out of the box, but you can build your own cards with SharePoint Framework. You can build, they're called ACEs, so adaptive card extensions, and you can build basically anything that you want inside these cards. The cards have a fixed size, so you can have these squares, or they could be a little bit larger, where they go take up 2 spaces. All right, so that's the dashboard. Oh yeah, so this is all the stuff I talked about. Adaptive card extensions. One of the other components here in Viva Connections is the concept of the feed. So the feed syncs from various different places, stream, community posts that you have access to, Viva, Viva Engage communities like Yammer. But what I found out is that this has been retired and there's no direct replacement for it. So you might see it today and it might be gone in the near future. Another key piece of Viva Connections is the resources. So it's basically just the list of links that are on your page there, and you can configure these list of links to pull from your global navigation and your home site, or you can put in whatever links that you want in here. And we'll take a look at that in real time. As I said earlier, the desktop experience, right? We can see we're clearly in Teams, right? We're in Teams browser or Teams web, same thing. The top little bit here, the top thing in the rail, it's called Viva Connections. Now you can customize this app to put your icon and rename it. On the right-hand side, what we're seeing is what's called the Viva Connections landing page. So by default, it goes to the Viva Connections landing page. However, you can set it up in a way that it goes to your SharePoint intranet first. So if you do have, and you can flip-flop between the two. How you flip-flop, it's not really the greatest experience. So you can see over here, MI, you would click this to get to your intranet. And also to flip back, you have to, I think, go to the dot. So I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Mobile experience, we talked about it. So the mobile experience is broken down into dashboard, feed, and resources, right? So you're going to, feed would be that stream, that streamed in everything you have access to. That's a news article that would be coming in here, and resources as well. Actually, let me see if I can get my, I will get my phone working. Okay, so let's jump into actually take a look at what this looks like in real life instead of slides. So I've built out a SharePoint site here. It's my communication site. And I had to do a couple things in order to turn on Viva Connections. Number one, you have to go into the admin and basically create an experience. It has to be your SharePoint home site as your top level. And then you'll get a couple things here. So in the gear, you'll get Manage Viva Connections. And here you can go to your Viva Connections dashboard. Now this is just a placeholder page where you can set up the dashboard web part, and this is what will show up on your phone, right? So again, just like dragging and dropping web parts, just to give you an idea of the experience here. You can add cards that you have in your environment. There's a couple things like this is a custom card. There's ones down here, other suggested cards and custom cards. There's a few of these out of the box cards that you can add, like a news feed, where you can click it to go to one of the news articles inside your SharePoint intranet, right? There's only a few sizes I mentioned before. The medium, which is actually the small, but they call it medium, and then the large, which takes up two spots. So there's quite a bit that you can do here, but it's also kind of limited. I think they really would prefer you to build your own cards that you can interact with, as opposed to what's in here. So this is the people search card, Viva Learning, quick links. So you can create a bunch of links here to various resources. Just put one in there. So that's the difference here. Let me go back, republish. Once you build this dashboard, you can use this dashboard as a web part, say on your homepage. So I have that here. I don't really see that used a lot, but again, you can have all here. On my homepage here, I have the news and I have Viva Engage. So when I jump into Teams and I go to when this first loads, just reload it so you can see. Go to my intranet, which I called the Tiger Zone, and this is the Viva Connections landing page landing page, which has my stream, right? My stream of all the content that I have access to, right? The dashboard, that's also on here. The resources, which I showed you before, these are not connected to my SharePoint site. Could I connect them to my SharePoint site? Sure. You can import them from the global navigation of the SharePoint site. And then some junk at the bottom, explore more Viva apps. You can't get rid of it. So you're stuck there. And then, like I said before, to jump back and forth, I can jump over to my intranet here. Let me see if I can. Okay. So then you have, I'm just trying to prep my phone, see if I can use that to show that. Now in the Tiger Zone, yeah, to go back, you can go back. You have to click on the three dots and say go to connections, and then you jump back. Let me pop this open on the phone real quick and see. Hopefully it's not gonna work. Let me move this over. I have to log into it before it will show. Oh, that's right. It does not like to show. So my company, I have a bunch of accounts on my teams, and what my company does not like, they have an Intune policy where it can't show your teams if you were like sharing. So here's the intranet on Teams for the Tiger Zone, right? So you're going to see the dashboard here, the feed here, and the resources, right? So it's the same thing. It's just broken out slightly different. Now I can go to the main intranet somehow. I forgot. Oh wait, there it is. There it is. You can click on that and it'll bring up your SharePoint site, right? So this is my site in the mobile view. It's all the stuff, the events, the documents. This is the same thing that is on my regular SharePoint site. And then I can go back, right? So it's slightly different experience. New version available. And now why is Viva Connections important? Well, number one, for a lot of people, just you're living in Teams day to day, right? You're always in Teams. Being able to quickly get into SharePoint is a big bonus, right? You can actually drive. We have people at our company that never go to the intranet, right? But it's there in Teams, so it'll sort of drive them to go there. If you build out these cards and actually put some useful information, like how many hours do I have off, or maybe quickly, like quick go to submit a leave request, right? Those types of things are valuable for people. It's really, I think, designed for frontline workers, right? So allowing frontline workers who don't really necessarily have the they're not sitting at a computer with two browsers open, right? They're on Teams on their phone. They want to quickly jump in and out. They want to just quickly hit a couple cards to either like go to a resource that's inside SharePoint fast, or go to a resource that's on the web, or an approved piece of software for the organization. So that's the real reason I think Teams, it's more powerful for the frontline workers, but it does play a good role because again, I'm in Teams and then I can just easily jump over. Or if you're searching, you can search in and it'll find all your stuff and you can just jump in and around. So that's really all I have on Microsoft Viva Connections. Again, it's pretty easy to install. There's not a lot to it, and there's really does add. I think it adds value. I think people should be doing it if they haven't done it already. And that's that. Any questions there? I can't really see the chat.
Yeah, Viva Connections. I've done
quickly.
I've done some stuff with Viva Connections, but not too much.
There we go.
It's
there's not much to do other than generating the cards. There's really not much going on.
Right. And the cards actually are pretty not necessarily like super easy to build, but there's a designer out there that you can use to build some basic ones. I had a guy on my team who was brand new to it, didn't have a developer background, and jumped right in and built a couple cards for a customer of ours.
There is a builder to help you a little bit. Again, because it's adaptive card extensions it's JSON. So it's not programming necessarily, but you have to build the SharePoint framework wrapper for the JSON. It's like a bunch of actions. So there's adaptive card extensions in different parts of SharePoint, right? I'm trying to think where else it is. I think it's in like something else that I don't really know. I've only used it a few times.
Isn't it Teams when you can pop up messages into Teams? I think I got exposed to that, like with the approvals. Like you could
the approvals. You're right. Teams. Yeah, you can do these adaptive. Here's the builder. So you can build these adaptive cards, and you can see it's HTML inside. It's like there's part HTML inside JSON, because you see the body, and then they have the font weight. It's like a mix of things here, columns, and then children items, right? So you're defining this layout. So this thing helps you build a layout. Now the adaptive cards in dashboard, very, very limited layout. Like there's a slot for like a title, there's a slot for like a description or a text, and then there's like a button, and it's sometimes a picture, right, and an icon. So it's even easier than less that you can mess up, right? It's very, very fine. Now you can do this, and you can open a modal and do whatever you want, right? That's a possibility.
Yeah, I think you have the ability to call some web services or some endpoints. There was something I did with deep linking. I don't know what it was though. I think I opened up Teams in a specific, I don't know, I forget. It's been a while. It's been quite a while.
So my experience with the Viva Connections was, as Jason said, there was the other guy that built the cards, but I was focused on two things: the news and audience targeting. So that got really how do I put it? I don't want to say difficult, but it was you have to do things a certain way to get the right news to populate in the right places for the right people. So to me, that was the more complicated part than the cards. As I said, the other guy did the cards, but the news, making the right news show up.
Yeah, because again, it pulls almost, I think, everything. So you have to really, by default, it was on selected sites, but I think it'll pull in. I've seen more stuff in here than this before.
Right.
So
and that was well, this was a couple years ago, but that was the other thing, is that if it got confused, it stayed confused for quite a while until it became unkludgy, and it was a mess. But that was a while ago, though.
Technical terms.
I'm not a developer.
No. Gucci. Oh. All right. Anybody else have any questions? No. Oh. Jump right in.
Those questions. Any questions?
Yeah. So I guess I was just curious, when So my background is development, so I can probably build something no problem. But for the non-developers, I know Microsoft is building a store around everything that this app. Is there a store or app source to download cards for Viva, or does everything have to be built from scratch?
You can download some from GitHub. Like there's a whole library of
Yeah,
ones
there's
out there.
library, and then since it's SPFX, like if someone else built one, right? Let me just check and see. That's a great question. I bet you there are aces, PNP aces. So yeah, there's going to be a repository of all of these. Sample repository. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. Yeah, there's a lot of them, as you can see. So how do you figure out what's in there? Let's see. There is a place where you can go to view these. Yeah, maybe it's here. Sample Ace Gallery. Hold on. When I go to the PNP, I usually go to refresh rangers. There is a PNP sample gallery. I wonder if it has aces. Yeah, this might be something like this. So this is the SharePoint framework one where you search the samples. I don't know if they have one for. I don't know if they have one for aces. Because it's not easy to go through here and see what each of these ones does.
Yeah.
There's a people search. We'll just take one, right? Because not everybody well, they're supposed to put these in to get them in there. But here, yeah, take a look at the samples. I mean, if you have a custom like service you're trying to sync to, most likely not going to be in here. But
right at that point, it's likely easier to just build your own.
Yeah, it's not, and again, it's not hard because it's SharePoint framework. So if you're familiar with SharePoint framework, it's the same thing, right? The only thing that's different is the rendering of the card, right? You're just fixed to using an adaptive card extension.
There are some gotchas though.
I don't really remember what they are. They're just yeah, you got to make a definition for the cards, and yeah, you have to stick to a certain format.
Yeah, I think I think some of the button formatting, depending on where you're trying to render it, may or may not show up properly. So like because they'll look different. It's the same code essentially that's being deployed in or available in other places. So like an adaptive card that shows up in Outlook versus Teams versus the dashboard. The buttons might look slightly different to conform with those tools, but then I think if I remember correctly, there might be an issue with like primary, secondary colors. It's been a while. It's been like 2 years. So
right, it sticks to
maybe
your
it's not an
theme.
issue
I think
anymore.
you have to make it stick to your theme too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's something to consider. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Yeah, I wish they had it. Here's this. Yeah, this is sample, but I don't know if it's aces. Okay. All right. If I find one, I'll let you know because I think there is one. I do some Google foo.
Good old fuel.
I think it was with the designer adaptivecards.io/samples.
Yeah, sometimes the PNP team has a really good like index of these
Actually,
samples.
right there in your navigation, you got the samples link, and then on the left side, you'll see all the different
Here, yeah, you can see all the samples in here, but again,
go back to your designer.
This one?
Yeah, right after Schema Explorer, there's samples. And then there you go.
Okay. Yeah, these are the full featured ones, right? Because they use these in the Teams cards, like for acting. These are definitely more. Can't do all this in the Viva Connections one. Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, these are the resources there. I'll see if, let me write that down, dig those up. Oh, Sean's got some connection samples. Yeah, if there was a way to search them. Yeah, here you go. So these are nice. These are nice ones. There's again, there's only a quick view, card view. There's two types of views. Yeah, I didn't want to get into that too deep because it is tricky. But these are good resources.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess.
Yeah, stop sharing.
There you go. All right.
So
Then
move this in the middle.
I think I got one more chat message popping up in a second here before I close it out for the year. Nope. He faked us out.
It's fine.
Cool. All right. Thanks for that. All right. I guess we can wrap it up here. So, again, just a reminder, April 26th, Saturday, April 26th, we're going to have M365 Philly again. We are at the moment just collecting the sessions from the potential speakers. Registration is open. I probably should have just put that in the chat. Let me do that real quick before we sign off here for those of you who want to register nice and early. Was I showing you guys? I think we're showing. No, I was showing me the 2025, the 2024 event. Let me had it open and then I closed it. There we go. So I will put it in the chat for anyone who wants to register. But yeah, at the moment, we're just looking for speakers and sponsors, and registration is open. So there it is in the chat for those of you who want to sign up. All right, and I guess we'll call it a year. This is the last one for
Hey, Jason,
2024. Yep.
just curious, when you were asking about speakers, are you looking for particular topics?
Just a variety, like normal. I saw yours. You submitted a session. So we're just
but I'm also got a few people I'm trying to also encourage to start speaking in the community.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they're scared about finding topics.
So one of the things that I tend to do is use the user group as a way to get new speakers to kind of dip their toes into it and see if they're comfortable with it. So you can always point them to something like our event and like this and submit a session just like they do for the large events. We use Sessionize for this as well. They can submit and we can take a look and invite them. And then actually lightning talks, part of the reason we do lightning talks is again for that. So some people aren't sure about committing to like a full 45 minute to an hour session. So having a 15-minute session with low stakes is a good way to dip your toes into that as well. But yeah, send them the link.
If anybody that wants to do a co-presentation with some development topic, I like to share because it's less pressure.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind to also encourage them as well.
Yeah. Tom, I'm looking for less pressure next year as well, so maybe I'll take you up on that offer.
Yeah, less pressure, right? I'll be there helping out, so like I don't really want a full stressful worrying about the presentation and pizza or whatever, sandwiches and getting food.
Yeah. I've been wanting to put together a variety of topics, and I just don't get around to it. I'm too busy.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see a lot of you there next year.
Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, thanks again, everyone. We'll see you in January, and have a good holiday season.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
You too.
Thanks all.
Thanks, everybody.
Happy holidays.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.